What up? Being expected to pay on dates. This discourse is all over the place. Online, all through reality TVs, folks talking amongst themselves between men and women. Everybody's going through this thing of who's to be expected to pay on dates. Normally, that kind of falls on men, right? And as I'm speaking about, my channel is dedicated to men and trying to get men together. Normally, the default is that men, for the most part, are going to pay for the bill. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the type of man you are. You have to figure out what kind of man you are. Are you a man who was brought up to say, you know what, if I'm inviting somebody out, I'm going to go ahead and take care of the bill? Or are you a man who is on this new age stuff where you're like, you know what, I want to try to figure out, we should go half and half and all this other stuff. If that's the case, then you got to stick to that standard. If that's the case, you got to stick to that principle. Now, if a young lady kind of looks at that a certain type of way or whatever, then you make that decision to say, you know what, maybe that's not the young lady that you need to be involved with. It's that simple. Like, I don't understand a lot of this discourse between men and women. You don't have to convince or force somebody to accept your principles, your standard. You don't have to do that. And if you do that, then that speaks more of yourself, of that you are kind of imposing your will. And if I'm not mistaken, we all are individuals out here in this world. We all have our own ideology, our own beliefs, and all other stuff. So you got some stuff back behind me. So the thing is that you have to figure out the type of individual you are. I happen to be a person who, if I'm talking to somebody, first date, second date, or whatever, I don't want to have those thoughts of, who's taking care of the bill and trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out what's the deal with this young lady. That's what's more important to me. The fact that maybe she doesn't pay doesn't necessarily tell me much about her character. That doesn't mean that, that's just a, one of those kill switch deals where, nah, I've got to drop that and I can't even, entertain the fact that even looking at this young lady. Nah, it's not one of those dead options for me. I need to find out more than that. Because sometimes when you're dealing with young women, when you're dealing with them, sometimes, see this guy coming up, he wants to hear my conversation, man. Anyway, sometimes when you're dealing with women, they're not going to necessarily show you much about their character until you start to try to pull and you start to show them a little bit of what it is that you have to offer. A lot of times women do that type of stuff. Whether you want to call it fear or not, it is what it is in the nature of courting. Women want to see whether or not you have certain qualities, certain things that you're willing to do, certain things you're not going to complain about. And they gauge themselves based off of if there's an interest there. Now, if you get caught up with the fact that, she taking me for a free meal and all this other stuff, then that's going to be on you. Maybe you weren't really interested in the young lady in the first place. And part of that, when you're talking on the phone or you're texting or something like that, you should be able to get a feel for whether or not this person seems like they're just taking you for a free meal. So the fact of just trying to figure out who's expected to pay on a date, it all boils down to you and your conversations that you're having with the person before you decide to offer them a date or take them out for a date. It's that simple. And if you don't like what you see and you think that there's some kind of question about this person's character, then you end it all. You just don't talk to them. For the life of me, I don't understand this whole whether it's the newer generation, even some of the older generation, just men in general. What the freak are you doing where you begging to be with women? You begging. And there's massive women out here. So you fighting about who's paying for the bill and who's not going to pay for the bill, and who's going to do certain things as far as pay certain other bills, and who's going to, open up the door and like, yo, you got to figure out who you are. If you're a person who has those qualities of the old school gentleman type of qualities, then you open up doors, you pay for bills, you say please, thank you, you put their coat on them for them and stuff like that. That stuff needs to come back for sure. But that's a whole nother topic I'm gonna get onto. But don't get caught up with this whole bill stuff. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get to whatever type of goal that you have set with this person that you're engaging with. And if you're worried about how much it's going to cost to spend on dinner or a date or whatever, you may have more issues than you think. If you are worrying about that, and you know what? You got to get yourself together before you decide to go out there and do a date, because it's the same thing as if you would sit up here and go to some type of fast food restaurant through the week, or do some DoorDash and stuff where you order something. It's the same type of thing. It's just the fact that you may pay a little bit more because you have company now. And you should be focusing more on the company and figuring out whether or not this person is the person that you should be even wasting your time with. And you really should know that beforehand when you're talking to them. When you're conversing, you should already start getting a feel for whether or not this is somebody that you should be dealing with. And I think that's the problem that men have. They don't have any real assessment skills. They don't know how to assess women, man. That's the problem, but we'll talk about that. Anyway, I'm about to roll up out of here. I got to take care of some things. As always, I'm going to catch all cats on the next note. Peace out.